Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Sean Ray with Sean Ray Realty, and today I'm going to be going over a tad bit of somber news. The thumbnail and title of this video is not clickbait. I am not a clickbait artist. I'm also not a doom and gloomer. If you look, I try to always do a positive spin on things. In this video, on the second part of the video, I'm going to try to do a positive spin and explain to you why this is not that bad of a deal as long as you play with it a little bit and you're just a little dodge and weaving. We can look at some different options for you depending on your situation. And so I'm going to be talking to you about what you can do next based on what is about to happen. First part of the video though is telling you what has happened and what's going on right now. So if you guys look forward to more of this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. So what is going on in the Dallas market? Again, if you're not in the Dallas market, this is still viable to you because it might happen in your market. But Dallas has now went from okay, we're going to allow Airbnbs in all these areas, but you have to pay hotel occupancy tax. Thanks to that, in 2019 alone, Airbnb operators gave the city over almost $3 million in tax revenues. And I know that's like a fraction of how many people were doing Airbnbs in Dallas. There's, say for instance, like 4,000, they say, listings that are currently not paying hotel taxes in Dallas County alone. And so imagine if everyone paid hotel taxes, the city would be getting a lot more money. And so we thought that was what the fight was about. And then the fight shifted to, okay, you need to do hotel occupancy taxes, but you also need to get a license. And it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. All right, we gotta get a license to do it. And then they even talked about certification of occupancies. And it kept on adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. And I never was really too worried about it because in my history of working with the city of Dallas, they have a really hard time implementing anything that they say they're gonna do in public works projects or whatever. They try to say they do something, but there's just such a mess with organization, it never really happens. So I never really paid any attention to it. That wasn't until recently. Paul Ridley, I believe his name is, he's one of the city councilmen and he's been super aggressive against Airbnb. And so we have, out of 15 council people, we need 8 people to pass favorable to Airbnb for it to even be allowed in Dallas. That's what we're dealing with right now. Currently, I was talking to a councilman 3 days ago, face to face, and he was saying that we could only really count on 3 because there's 3 options that are now on the table. It used to be just 2, but the third one, Paul, I believe, is the one that suggested this, and everyone jumped on board with it. But it was like Order 66 of Star Wars, where it's just like kill them all. And it's really sad to see what happened. I mean, before it was option 1 was we basically are allowed 1 Airbnb per person as like a homestead, and as long as it's owner occupied, you're allowed to do it, and wasn't that big of a deal. We would figure out a way to get around that. Option 2 is you are allowed to do it in certain areas that are zoned for commercial, but there is no such thing as event venues. You couldn't do that. And depending on the situation, you might be able to do it in residential, but it wasn't clear cut what you could and couldn't do. And basically everyone talked about, it's fine, that might actually be good for us as Airbnb hosts because it's going to prevent anyone new coming into the table and trying to create competition. Because right now there's too much Airbnb in Dallas. Depending on who you ask, some people say there's so much more to go around. Our listings have been doing fine, and so there still is room to grow, but at least this allows no more competition to come in. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But the new option 3 that just came out is basically no grandfathered in. Doesn't matter if you paid hotel taxes, doesn't matter if you have a license or anything, you are now considered a hotel. And so if you have Airbnb, it has to not be in any residential area. It has to be in a commercially zoned area. And so that means if you basically aren't going to be doing an Airbnb next to a hotel or a bar or a restaurant, like if there's any homes around you, you most likely are in a residential area. This isn't Houston, this is Dallas. Therefore there's zoning. And they said that in the last zoning committee, they said that I think we're all agreeing to go ahead and do option 3. And it's like, oh no, this is no joke anymore. This is like full on war at this point. So what that means for everybody that currently is an Airbnb host in Dallas, if you don't stand up and fight, in the second part of this video, I'm going to go over how you can do that. But if you don't stand up and fight, it looks very likely that all Airbnbs in Dallas will be banned in residential areas. But there's hope. So if you currently are already a host, you have a bunch of listings, then the one thing you can think about is that Dallas sucks at implementing anything. I even talked to the city council person, and he was saying that the likelihood of them enforcing it, there's no way they have a way of enforcing it, but they're going to attempt to. And so the likelihood is that it's going to be just a bunch of trying to herd cats. Like, how are they going to implement this? And so as of right now, they don't know how they're going to. So that's a good news. You could pass a law, but if you can't make anyone follow it, then it's very difficult. The second thing is that if you have noticed, this is Dallas County that we're talking about. There are other places like Frisco and Arlington that have been pretty difficult for Airbnbs as well. Fort Worth has been difficult for Airbnbs. But there's places like my last Airbnb, the one I'm currently filming in my new studio in Cockrell Hill, that doesn't have any real regulations against Airbnb. It's not the city of Dallas. It's not the county of Dallas. And so this means that you're not dead in the water. Worst comes to worst, especially if you've had a home for more than a year. It's 2022 right now. If you bought a home in early 2022 or any time before that, most likelihood is that you gain some pretty solid equity. The market is just now starting to cool down, and so we're going to enter a phase of much more healthy times ahead for buying homes. And so if you need to, worst comes to worst, you can sell your home and probably make a profit. You have a whole house of furniture though. What are you going to do with all that house of furniture? Well, you can take that profit you made from the other house and you can buy a house in Cockrell Hill. You can buy a house in Garland. You can buy a house in DeSoto or Grand Prairie or wherever, Rockwall, wherever it is. We can research together, we can band together as a team and find out what cities are least likely to do the same kind of super regulated mindset. So that's the first option you can do, sell your house. Two, actually that's the second option. First option is just don't do anything. Hope that Dallas doesn't have their crap together and then therefore they won't do anything about it. Just kind of like with the hotel occupancy tax. Like as of right now, there's some of us that pay it, some of us don't, and you should pay it or else, and no one did. So obviously you see nothing really happen with that. And so hopefully they do the same disorganization for this. Option two is sell your house. Option three, and then buy something in a different area. Option three is turn your house into a long-term rental for right now, because I don't think anything is going to happen with this will be permanent. So first of all, figure out what you can get for your house if it makes sense. If you were following my YouTube channel for as long as I've been doing it, you should always buy an Airbnb with the intention of one day turning it into as long-term rental. Because I told you from the very beginning, if you go back watching any of my videos, I said, act as if Airbnb will go away. You don't want to have your entire livelihood based on a platform outside of your own control. And that was with the mindset that Airbnb itself might go bankrupt, not necessarily the city. So I missed the mark a little bit on that one, but still I sold all my homes to my investors with the mindset of, does this make sense for a long-term rental? So none of my investors are really screwed when it comes to that. So we can put them as a long-term rental. They're not going to make nearly as much profit, but if they do it as a fully furnished house, they most likely will get much more profit. Or they can buy a house in another area, like I said, and then they can take all this furniture, put it in the other house, and then just turn this into a long-term rental, and you're good either way. So it's not that scary. So far, nothing happens to you. Sell your house, buy a new one, still nothing happens to you, and you probably make more profit on this new one because you learned problems from the last one. The third option is you just turn it into rental, move your furniture, and still nothing really happens to you. So far we're good. And the last option is we go to war, and that's what I'm planning on doing. In Austin, the same kind of thing passed, and it was a fight. They ended up taking it, they had a legal team, and they ended up taking it to court, and they won, and it basically says the whole grandfathered option. And so if you currently have an Airbnb, before this passes, there is grounds, there is precedent for there before in Austin, same thing, and it won. So I even have Mr. Sean Rakajich on this, and he's talking to the guy that was, that fought legally in the Austin fight, and talking about joining him to be our fight as well. We've been talking to the Dallas Short-Term Rental Alliance. I have a computer right here, it's off screen, and I'm gonna be reading from it in a second, just so you know I'm gonna be staring off screen. But we've been talking to them about what we can do as well, trying to put up a possible legal fund and getting all the Airbnb hosts together in Dallas to fight back. And it's not a complain together, it's like we actually have grounds for grandfathering in. So that's pretty solid. And if that does work and you get grandfathered in, that no longer allows people to buy Airbnbs in Dallas. So that means that the demand will always be growing for Dallas Airbnbs, and therefore your properties will always be full. So that's pretty solid as well. So if you're thinking about getting into Airbnb, this might be your last chance in Dallas County. Okay, so that's where we're at. That's where we're currently going for. Those are your current options. So don't be scared if you currently are an Airbnb host. The sky is not falling. Just be prepared, and then with that knowledge, get ready for what comes next. You're totally fine. Even if you're currently in a contract right now and you're going to be closing in a week or two, you're still fine. The market's still great. The real estate market's still great. And you can potentially save yourself from no longer being able to be a part of this game in Dallas, because we can fight for you to get grandfathered in. So no stress, you're fine. Just be smart, invest wisely. Part 2 of the video. Okay, so this is where things get a little dicey. So how do we fight back? I wish that I can have it on my channel, but the views on my channel are like a few hundred people. And so what I'm going to do is take, the first step was the Dallas Short-Term Rental Alliance. We're going to meet with them tomorrow to film a Q&A. So if you're watching this right now and you want to get involved or you're interested, then comment below all your questions, and we're going to take those questions and then we're going to ask them to them. So what does this mean? What's the regulations? Who's in charge? Who we need to convert over to our side? All these things that you might be thinking right now while watching this video, write them down in a comment, and don't think about it, write it in a comment, because we will use those comments for the video tomorrow that we're going to be making. But they're going to be going over everything and all the strategies. But as of right now, the most important thing that you need to know is that we need to get 8 out of 15 council people to join our side on the pro Airbnb. And a lot of people think, well, what if we just throw a bunch of money at them with the hotel occupancy taxes or whatever happens to be? Then they're most likely going to go to our side. That is not the case. The reason why things are the way they are right now is that you have a bunch of people like me that are just doing quite fine financially and don't really take the time to even get involved in local politics. And then especially when it comes to sitting at an 8 a.m. meeting at City Council Hall or City Hall, and then sitting there all day for 5, 6, 7 hours just to talk for 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe max, maybe. That is not us. That's not the kind of mindset that a lot of people that are doing Airbnb investing have. But you know who does have that is people that are 65 years old. They got nothing to do but to complain about the wind, and then they hear a noise down the street, and then they know their other neighbors upset about it, and then together we're gonna fight back against these youngsters, these dang young millennials or whatever, Gen Zers or whatever it is nowadays. And so that is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a bunch of older voters. They vote and they're very vocal, and they go to every single meeting and they complain and complain and complain. Their peace of mind and their livelihood is at stake here. But that's it. It's noise. That's it. I talked to the council people and it's straight up as noise, and they want people to vote for them. And if the voters are saying they're pissed off because of the noise, they're going to go with the voters. So we come in and we're trying to do arguments about all sorts of stuff. Well, this is the value we bring. We give jobs and we allow people flexibility. And during COVID, we allow people places to stay. We even gave people places to stay for free, blah, 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 blah. And the real thing is they want votes. That's it. And so if we can somehow find a way to get our Airbnbs to no longer be party Airbnbs, I know I'm guilty, I get it. I read you guys' comment on the rap video. I get it. I was showing that video because it was a mistake. And now I have cameras all over the place with sound sensors, and we have people checking in all the time and not setting up max more than like 10 to 12 people per property. We have the capacity for 16, but we normally don't do it. We don't do one night stays, all these kind of things like that. So we changed our tune. But if we could prevent people from creating parties and events, then that would help sway them to our side. So that's where we're at right now. And the next thing that you need to do, one, is watch the video that we're making tomorrow and comment below for your questions, and then sign up. I'm gonna be looking at the screen right here just so I can have it very specific because it's detailed information. And so on July 7th, in Dallas, it's gonna be at the 5th floor of City Hall, 1500 Mariella Street, Marilla Street in Dallas, Texas, 75201. The case number is important. Case number is DCA212-002, and you need to be there at 8:30 a.m. It's super boring. You're gonna be sitting there for a long time, so bring a Sudoku, correct me in the comments, whatever that is. Or your phone, or whatever it happens to be. Dress nice, but don't dress flashy. We can't come off as like this super rich, pompous, entitled people. Come business casual and chill and respectful, and don't walk in with like an ego or pride thing. But it's the Dallas Zoning Ordinance Advisory Committee hearing. It's the second one, and this one is gonna be very important. We need to have as many of you come and speak as possible, but remember, you can't just walk in and speak. You have to sign up to speak. And so you have to register before 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 5th. That is only a day or two away. So make sure when you're watching this, please take action right now. If you're in Dallas, sign up, register to talk. And then if you need a place to register, I'll put it in the link in the bio, or in the description of the video, and that way you can click on that link and register. If you have any questions about the hearing, or you want to know about the ZOAC, the Zoning Ordinance Advisory Committee hearing, then reach out to Arturo Del Castillo, so ARTURO.DELCASTILLO at DallasCityHall.com. Ask him any questions you might have about how it works, what you need to do, any kind of information like that, and he'll be able to help you out. Okay guys, that's pretty much it. We need to fight hard. This July 7th is a really important meeting, and after that there's one in August. But then after that one in August, they're going to probably start making their final decisions. And so if you ever want to get involved, if you ever want to fight, now is the time to fight. I can easily sell all my properties and make hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit on each individual one. And a part of me kind of wants to do it. Part of me just wants to list it for way over market just to see what would happen. But another part of me doesn't want to give up the fight. It'd be nice to have that extra cash to invest in the stock market going down right now, but it just seems like such a pain in the butt to list, sell, do tours, sell all my furniture, or move it into storage, and then it's just, what a pain. So everything will be fine. Worst comes to worst, you just might have to do some work. And if you guys need a listing agent or a buyer's agent, I can help you out. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this longer video, but stay tuned for the Airbnb automated channel has changed its name. Now it's just Sean Rakajic. Good luck trying to spell his last name. So it's like Ra, R-A, like the sun, and then Kid, and so K-I-D, and then Z-I-C-H. Zich is like nothing. You just have to remember that. So make sure to follow us onto that channel for the next video and get involved. All right, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys like my new studio. For those longtime watchers, I'm going to show you a walkthrough and a strategy, what I'm trying to do with this one. Since it is Cockrell Hill, it's gonna be a usable strategy, but we bought a really nice place, my lady and I, and we decked it out pretty solid. And so the idea is on the weekends rent it out for Airbnbs. That way we can live here for free after mortgage, bills, and everything. And then in the meantime, on the weekends, we go to Austin and Mexico and Denver and California and Vegas. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll get my audio fixed for next time. It was not working today, so. All right, thanks guys. Make sure to put comments in the comments below. I gotta do bye.
What was that?
That was me trying to talk.